Hello, my name is Anthony Barocas of AIBA Communications, and today I am here at Frisco Studios, my new studio, and I am talking about the EG GH06. This is sold by Ikan, and it is a two-stage tripod. It's got rubber feet over top of spikes. It's got a mid-level spreader that's expandable and detachable. It has a single adjustment point. There's no adjustment point on the bottom, or there's no latch point on the bottom. One latch handles both stages because there's two stages on each leg. It has a ball level, 65 millimeter, I think. Could be 75, I think it's 65. And the nice thing for me is I had tried a Manfrotto system, and I actually had to sell it because I was so used to my old system, which had the pan lock in the front, and the Manfrotto had it. It was differently designed, and then the tilt lock was on the left, and Manfrotto put it on the right. And I just, muscle memory. You get so used to things. So I can release one lever here and put it right at height. And then, once you've got one leg down, it's very easy to put the other two down. Now, expand it, and I'm set up. I mean, it is literally incredibly fast. It's actually faster than my previous tripod, which, you had to adjust two different levers to tighten the bottom, tighten the top. This one, you adjust one. The downside is both of them are going to move unless you hold the top one. So if you want to have the single pole nested, and you want to use the two parts, the two stages with the two bars of them, then you have to manually make sure that the single leg stays nested. Otherwise, it's going to want to fall down, and it's in the bottom section, so there's no separate control for that part. It doesn't really matter to me. The tripod is very stiff. I don't see very much flex in this at all, really. Like really trying to turn it. The head is actually, I saw this head at the Texas Production Expo. Ikan had a booth there, and I saw this thing, and I immediately called them up. I said, listen, I really want to take a look at this thing and put it through its paces with shoots that I'm doing, see how functional this is, see how quick it is to set up, and I have been impressed. It's under $1,000. I believe this kit goes for $6.99 or whatever, and I believe it's worth every penny. Like I said, the tilt latch is right here over here. I kind of wish it was sticking out, but I understand why you want it tucked back so that it doesn't get hit and broken. So there's your tilt lock. Let me use the bubble level. The bubble level on this one is not lit. It would be nice if it was lit, but it's not. The pan lock is in the front. So everything is right here where your left hand needs to reach it. And that is what I really love. Boom, I don't even think about it. It's there, I turn, I lock it. I tilt, I lock it. And it's a half turn, You turn 180 degrees, you're loose. You turn it back, it's locked. Now, this GH06 head has three stages of panning friction and tilt friction. And if you've ever used a Sackler head, this kind of works the same way. Like right now, I have it set on 3. So panning is actually pretty tight. You can tilt it down to 2. It's a little bit looser. You tilt it down to 1. It's a little looser. But is it a friction head or is it a fluid head? If you go to 0, it spins. So this is a dynamic system whereby there's not just fluid in there and you're tightening down on something else. No, this can go down to 0, and you can have this fancy, and you can take the tilt, once you unlock it, down to 0. It also has a counterbalance. I'll get to that. Take the counterbalance down to 0. It's literally, it's the weight of the handle that is, holding this down. There's nothing. And then when you put it into 1, there, it locked in. Now I've got some friction and it moves. I can go to 2, and you heard it lock in. Now, it stays there. It stays there. Now, I don't have any camera weight on here because I'm using the camera, and so I can't show the counterbalance so much, but if I go back to 0, right now, there's no counterbalance. It's just the weight of the handle, really. If I put it on 1, there it goes, it clicks in a little bit. I have to push up a little bit, And when it comes down, it doesn't go down all the way because there is a little bit of spring. You go to 2. Once that clicks in, now you can really, let me lock the pan. Now you can really see, actually let me take this handle, move the handle up a little bit so you can see this better. So now you can see there's a counterbalance in there. And then of course there's 3, 4, and 5. So you could put on some, a decent setup. Like if you had a camcorder on a VCT, on a shoulder brace with a monitor and an audio interface and a battery, I'm talking like a good 10-pound system. I mean, I think the specs on this thing say 9 pounds, but I definitely, this counterbalance, and then you add in step 3 of the tilt friction. I think the counterbalance could handle a heavier load than the tilt friction. And of course, you've got the lock as well as you want to put it in. So the counterbalance is, I have it set all the way back on 1 because I use a GH4, which really doesn't have a whole lot of weight to it. With nothing on here, obviously it's going to push back, but that's with friction of 3, 2, 1, 0. So I am very impressed with the system here in terms of, there, now it's locked into place. So you can have that friction and disable it as well. If you want to go to 2, it's locked right in. Go to 3, it takes some effort to move this thing. And like I said, I am not seeing very much flexing or twisting with the system. It's lightweight. It's not terribly light. This is the aluminum system. They have a carbon fiber as well, which should be lighter in terms of the sticks and should be just as rigid because of the material. But realistically, for me, the head, the sticks are good. I like the fact that the mid-level spreader is right about where my knee is. So when I want to go somewhere, I just kick it, and now I can pack it up and go because the mid-level spreader is here. I don't have to bend down in the floor. It's not laying in the grass, laying in the dirt, having ants and everything walk all over it, and then it comes out, and I can put it down, and I'm good to go. That is very sweet in terms of being on a production, being able to pick up, move, and put down, pick up, move, and put down. I do a lot of realty right now, and I'll do 20, 30 setups in an hour. Realistically, I just need to pan a room or do a tilt or do a move or have somebody say some words in a room, and then it's like pick up, let's move somewhere else, go upstairs, put it down, make sure I'm level, especially if there's carpet and not carpet, if I'm outside and there's an uneven surface or something like that, quickly level it, get the shot. Because it's all about return on investment. The investment you make in a good set of sticks pays off in terms of just letting you get the shot. You're not worried about fiddling with things. You're not adjusting things. You're not trying to make it work. It just works, and you're able to focus on what you're trying to do, pick up, and just move to the next thing. I'm not fighting with it. It's not fighting me. The only last thing, it's got a little ring here. If you want to actually just pull it up manually, with your hand, you could pull it up manually. But the spreader itself has 3 adjustments, so if you have a heavy load on top and you want to spread the legs out a little bit, you can do that. So now it's considerably wider, and thusly it's more stable in terms of holding a heavy load on top. Obviously, this is not the biggest head they have. This is sort of in the middle. There's 2 smaller ones, I think a 5 and a 3. And then there's 2 above this one. So if you have a big on-shoulder camera, if you have a big cinema system, obviously you're going to get a heavier end head than this. But in terms of comparing this to the Sackler Ace, the Ace gives you less steps in terms of panning and tilt friction, and the Sackler costs more money. It's about $1,000. This one I think is around $600, $700, and I am very impressed with this. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention once I put the legs back together here is the plate itself. Let me come in a little closer. The plate part on top has a good amount of movement. Let me turn it to the side so you can see it. So the plate on top has a good level of fore and aft movement. So it's a good, I think, 3 inches of movement, and this is a tiny little head. And so you're able to hang it off the back and hang it off the front, and it stops either way. You push the button, obviously it comes out, but it will come out either way. It'll come out forward or backward. It's not a single direction plate, and you can slide it in either way. Also, if sliding is an issue, especially if you got a heavier system or a more ungainly system, you don't have to slide it. This one has a little releasable latch here, so you just put it in and it latches in. It's still not locked down, but it's not going to fall out. So that lets you quickly, you do have to slide it out. It lets you quickly, let me get the camera up here, there. Now it's in, and I can lock it down with the lever on the side, and it's not going to slide anywhere. You unlock it, you can slide it forward to balance, aft to balance, and then lock it down and put it in. That's been my look at the Ikan EG06. This is an update to my review of the GH06 head from E-Image, which is sold through Ikan. This is the GH06 head, which has 3 steps of tilt dampening, 3 steps, or 4 steps, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps of tilt dampening, 4 steps of pan dampening, and 5 counterbalance settings. The issue I had with this is my DSLR setup, which is actually, kind of heavy with the stuff on top, and you might have a lighter setup, is if I set the counterbalance to 1 and I tip it over, it's going to keep going. And I've got the friction set to 2. If I set the counterbalance to 2 and I tip it over, it's going to want to go back. It's going to want to come back. So I wanted a setting in between 1 and 2 that would allow me to be able to point it and then just have it stay there, which it's not doing with this. And I've tried it on all the friction settings, and it's just, there's not enough friction and there's too much dampening, I felt, in this tripod head for my DSLR setup. So I asked Ikan to send me the baby brother. This is the GH03, and it's on the same set of sticks, which I actually really like the sticks. So this is the baby brother head. What's the difference? Well, there's no steps of tilt, there's no steps of panning, drag, adjustment. It is what it is. It's a little light on panning, but you can variably dampen the tilt. So you can add a little bit more and you can take it a little bit out, but there's no steps. It's really nice to have concrete steps as on the GH06. The GH03 does not have that. It has 2 arm mounts. The GH06 only has 1. Both of your lock adjustments are on the left as opposed to the left and the front. Bubble level. No counterbalance adjustment. It is what it is. So it's a lighter duty head. But I have a lighter duty camera setup, which is why I asked them to send me this setup. So we're going to take it out of the GH06 and we're going to use the same plate. Now this also features the lock-in. It's positive locking. I can still adjust it, but it's not going to fall out. So I'm going to adjust it where I know, based on that one, I'm going to lock it in, and I can tilt it down. Let's adjust the friction a little bit. I tilt it down, it stays there. I tilt it up, it stays there, because this has about the right amount of counterbalance for my camera setup. I got a battery in here, I got a battery in the camera, I got batteries in the receiver. This is like fully functional now. I can turn this on and do a shoot. And what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to point it in the direction and let it go and have the camera stay there. It has a decent amount of dampening, and it is literally exactly what this DSLR needs. So when I point it somewhere, it just stays there. If your camera's a little heavier than the counterbalance, you can dial up the friction to exactly what you want. You're not stuck between number 2 and number 3 or any particular number. It's a dial, so you're dialing it in. And then it has separate locks for pan and tilt. So once you get it to where you want it to, it's not going to go anywhere. So if you have a DSLR, a small DSLR, I have a GH4, but a small lightweight camera, and you're not overburdening it with a lot of accessories, big lenses, or matte boxes and external recorders and big monitors. If it's, in the 3-pound range somewhere, a little bit less, a little bit more, I think the GH03 is a good setup. If you have a bigger, heavier setup, bigger lens, maybe a large sensor camera with, rigging and things like that, the GH06 will be a better setup because it has higher levels of counterbalance to handle heavier weight setups. So this has been my look at the GH06 and now also the GH03 from E-Image, which is sold through Ikan. My name is Anthony Barocas with AIBA Communications. Thanks for watching.